Did a 3,000-year-old mystery actually foretell the invasion of Israel by Hamas down to the year and even the exact date? Does the book of Revelation contain a vision of a dragon and a woman? And if so, does it hold the key to the world events of our time? New York Times best-selling author Jonathan Cahn is here today with his most explosive message yet. But first, watch this.
Is there more to the world than meets our eyes? Another realm that's transforming our world at this very moment? Is there an ancient vision that unlocks what is really happening to our world and tells us what is yet to come? A dangerous force from ancient times that is now operating in the world and determining the course of world events. Did a 3,000-year-old mystery actually foretell the invasion of Israel by Hamas, down to the year and even the exact date? Is there a secret to the book of Revelation that reveals what is taking place right now? After 8 New York Times bestsellers, Jonathan Cahn now releases his newest stunning blockbuster, The Dragon's Prophecy, Israel, the Dark Resurrection, and the End of Days. For the first time ever, Jonathan Cahn will open up end-time prophecy to reveal the mystery behind the end of the age and what is now happening before our eyes, even the hidden keys to victory in light of what's coming, and how to overcome the dragon. The Dragon's Prophecy will reveal the long-hidden secret of the last days, the Dark Resurrection, the colors of the apocalypse, the return of the Sea People, the Black Sabbath, the inverted angel, the 2315th day, the beast, and much, much more. What does the future hold? What do you need to know? And what about the dragon? Just when you thought Jonathan Cahn's books couldn't get more explosive, comes The Dragon's Prophecy, Israel, the Dark Resurrection, and the End of Days. It will change the way you see the world. It will open your eyes and blow your mind. The Dragon's Prophecy, the book you can't afford not to read.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to SkyWatch Television. I'm Joe Artis Horn. Today, in-house, a major treat, New York Times best-selling author, Mr. Jonathan Cahn.
Thank you.
Jonathan, we are always so blessed that you make time to come to SkyWatch TV and reveal what is always a megalithic reveal. That we are never left wanting when Jonathan Cahn comes to the studio. There's always a mystery or something from the Bible that most scholars have missed, and Jonathan will come and he will highlight something prophetic that fits the very times and moments we're living in right now. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce the title of his brand new book, The Dragon's Prophecy. Subtitle, Israel, the Dark Resurrection, and the End of Days. Welcome, Jonathan.
Great to be here. Always great to be back.
I want to dive straight into the content of this book. As people are watching this program, we have a political atmosphere happening in the United States that we've never seen before. Not in my lifetime have we seen events like what has transpired over the last few weeks. At the time of this recording, Donald Trump nearly losing his life. There is a spirit at war for the mind of an entire generation. Spiritual forces fighting for the attention of what the direction of this nation is going to look like. And I feel like your book is very timely because, as always, it carries with it prophetic implications that explain things like what is happening with our dear friends in Israel. What does the political landscape look like, and where might we be going as a nation? Right away, though, The Dragon's Prophecy is your first book that became a global bestseller before it even existed.
Yeah.
Now, can you explain that one?
Yes, it's not a faith statement. It's actually, it happened. What happened was I was working on it, and I kind of said it on YouTube. I said, I'm working on it. And people started trying to pre-order it. It was in the top 20 books of all books in the world.
Wow.
And it didn't exist. Okay, so
No pressure, though.
No pressure, yeah. So it tells me there's a real hunger regarding this. It's something about the spiritual moment, as you were alluding to. You know, the Lord interrupted me. I was actually working on the sequel to The Return of the Gods, you know, which I shared here.
Okay, yes.
And I'm going to do that. But the Lord interrupted and said, no, this is it. I was actually driving, and I saw in my head a dragon, the red dragon. And then it just, things start confirming and confirming. This is the moment for this.
This book, though, The Dragon's Prophecy, is different from every other book that you've ever written. What can the readers expect that you'll reveal in this book?
Yeah, it's different in that, all the books are prophetic in some way, but this is the first one that's really opening up end time prophecy. Events that are happening now, things that kind of pulling the veil behind current events, world events, but how they also link up, even with the book of Revelation. And it's not hype. A lot of people abuse all these things, but actually with end time prophecy, we are watching what seems like an acceleration of these things. So also, it's the only book where I'm writing it and events are happening that I'm writing, and I had to keep on rewriting it, because it kept happening and happening and happening. Also, the other thing is I always get attacked when I write a book. Usually on the release date, something major happens. But this time, as I'm starting to write it, I'm writing about the vision and revelation of the dragon and the flood. And a flood comes to our building. Then a second one and a third one comes, and then thieves break in the middle of the flood. I mean, it was just like so many things happening, but I would expect that with the subject when you're dealing with the dragon.
Is it true that one of the mysteries in this book foretold the invasion of Israel by Hamas?
I was speaking at the congregation I lead in New Jersey, Beth Israel, and I'm sharing on a mystery. The mystery ordained that there would be an attack on Israel. It would happen, it would take Israel by surprise. It would happen in 2023. It would happen in October. It would happen on a Sabbath day. It would happen on a holy day. It would happen on the first Saturday of October in 2023. And I'm sharing it the night before, and then it happened. And that morning, they're writing into the ministry. They're saying, "You just spoke about this, but yes, it does." And we'll touch on that as we go along. But absolutely, even to the day.
There are people out there, doubtful any of them watching this program, but certainly in secular Americana, that doubt the very existence of the devil. They disbelieve that he exists in the first place. How does Jewish history testify to his existence? Because I think this is very interesting.
Yeah. Well, on one hand, Jewish history testifies to the existence of God. God says you are my witnesses, and the fact that they are still here. But it also testifies to the existence of the enemy, because on one hand, you have a being, an entity, an angelic, twisted being that is bent on destroying the works of God and stopping the purposes of God. And then you have a people who are created for the purposes of God, to bring it into the world, the word, the revelation, Messiah, the kingdom. So it means these two are going to be at war. And what would you expect? Like, if we came from another planet and we didn't know anything but those two facts, we could write down Jewish history, because you'd expect that the Jewish people would become the most persecuted people, the most warred against people, the most hated people. You would expect that this hatred wouldn't make any sense. It would defy logic. It would defy time and space. It would be it would be in the ancient world, the modern world, medieval world. It would be in the East and the West. Communists accused the Jews of being capitalists. Capitalists accused them of being communists. They hated the Jews for keeping to themselves. They hated the Jews for not keeping to themselves. There's no rational thing. You look at the people, the names change, and you might have on one hand radical Muslim extremists, and then on the other hand you have a Nazi or a secular. They're all different. Their reasons are all different, because those are not the reasons. There is a spiritual reality behind it. You cannot explain Hitler rationally. It is testimony of the demonic realm, and the fact that the most evil forces on earth happen to also hate the Jews the most. There's something about that. The origins of anti-Semitism isn't a person, it's an angel. It's a fallen angel. The first anti-Semite is an angelic anti-Semite, and that is behind it all. So Jewish history not only testifies of God, but clearly of the enemy.
At the onset of this program, I teased with the intro about a dragon and a woman. And this might be something that a lot of scholars have missed, and certainly you include this in your book. But the book of Revelation contains a vision of a dragon and a woman. Can you share with us what that reveal is?
Yeah. The dragon clearly is the enemy, and it says it. It says this is the serpent, this is the dragon. The dragon, actually, the word is first in Hebrew, and there's a Hebrew word that actually means dragon or serpent. It means both. Then you have the woman with 12 stars, and she gives birth to the Messiah. Now, in past times, many people in the church said, well, that's the church. No, the church didn't give birth to Messiah. It was born of Messiah. But Israel did give birth to Messiah. And Israel is the 12 stars. So what it says is there's the war, the dragon is, and literally the Greek says, persecuting the woman. So you got the persecution right there. And it says also that he was filled with orgizo, which is the demonic rage, which when you look at anti-Semitism, whether it's Hitler, whether it's Osama bin Laden, whether it's Harvard University, it's the orgizo of the dragon. And that vision spans the ages, because the first part is the birth of Messiah. That's the first century. But the rest of it is the end times. So that's one thing about it. It spanned the entire age. But the focus is when Israel is together. Because in the first century, Israel was a nation together. And only now, again, because the dragon is going after a specific woman in a specific time and place. So when Israel comes back, you would expect this rage to increase and to all be focused on this little New Jersey-size strip of land, which makes no sense either. And so that is what we are witnessing, and that's where we're going to witness more of as we move to the end times.
Absolutely. Yeah, there is a rise in anti-Semitism, even from people who self-proclaim to be Christian.
Yeah.
And that is clearly, in my view, a perversion and a derangement of much of what's taking place in the church today.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
if we turn our back on Israel, it's game over, in my view.
Especially, and you think about it with America, you know, America has been turning away from God. The saving grace is that it still supported Israel. If
you.
it turns from that, which there are dangerous sides, that is over.
Yes,
You're right.
Yes, any period of grace is just...
Yeah, and we've seen groups here in the United States that normally would have nothing to do with one another that are united in their hatred of Israel. This has gone on through history. I've been doing a lot of research on the origins of the modern state of Israel. When you see, as you mentioned, Hitler's Germany, pan-Arabist movement of Arabia, Syria, Iraq, and at the same time, the supposedly Christian nations of the United Kingdom, United States, and the atheistic Soviet Union all combined in their opposition to the formation of the state of Israel. The only thing that unites them is their hatred of the people that God chose.
Yeah, and that is the enemy. That is the dragon.
Right.
Yeah.
Jonathan, I want to ask you one more question, and then I want you to tell us about this here, an 8 DVD set, but that in just a minute. The Dragon's Prophecy reveals an ancient mystery that lies behind one of the central issues of modern times. Who were the sea peoples and Israel's ancient arch enemies?
Yeah. Now think about this. This is, on one hand, it's going to open up something, and yet when you think about it, of course, the enemy is a mimic. He imitates God. He wants to take the place of God. The Antichrist is the imitation of the Christ. So he's an imitation. God resurrects his ancient nation, Israel. Ancient people resurrects them in the world. So the enemy is going to have his own resurrection. He's going to resurrect an ancient enemy people that will oppose the nation of Israel, even to try to destroy it. And so what ancient people were the arch enemy of Israel? You read the Bible continuously, they're called the Philistines. Well, he has. And it's not about the people. We got to pray for the people. And I'm going to show you it as we go forward in detail. But the thing is that they are called the Palestinians. Palestinian means the Philistines.
Yep.
That's exactly what it means. It doesn't mean anything else. It means the Philistines. Israel comes into existence. They come into existence. And it's like a chess game of the enemy. And the thing is that as Israel was conformed to its ancient nation, it's again farmers, it's soldiers, so it's a people are being conformed to the ancient image of the Philistines, step by step by step. And if you want to understand why that issue has become the issue, it's because this is the strategy of the dragon. You cannot understand October 7th without understanding this mystery.
Well, Jonathan, I want to ask you about something else that we have, and we'll show you, viewers, in just a moment how you can get your own copy of this, but I'm holding in my hand the Dragon's Prophecy Uncensored. Now, this is a box set with 8 DVDs, and it says, including the secrets of the end times, the full revelation with exclusive material.
Yeah.
What is this about?
This is not available on Amazon. You cannot get this. Anyway, this is why it's only a few people have it. This is where, because there's so much that I could not put in the book, so you'll get the revelation here of it, but it's going to have the uncensored material, including all sorts of end time things, which people ask me about. I don't put it anywhere. This is where it is. Also, the mystery of the time, when I speak about exact dates, how this mystery is, it may even enable us to know future events and dates, and I get into more on that. Also, they're not just going to read the book, they're going to see everything happen. They're going to see it unfold. So it's filled, and this is exclusive, so this you can only get it.
So it's basically not an amendment, it's a companion to the book. It's all the stuff, and I totally get the uncensored aspect. There's a lot of stuff you can't say on network television anymore. Or if you expect your content to stand on most of these social media platforms, they will delete a lot of things now. There's just subjects you're not allowed to speak
Yeah,
on.
and usually when I write a book, Joe, I have usually like thousands of pages. So most of it I can't put in there,
Trying to cherry
yeah.
pick the essentials for
Yeah,
the book, and
yeah.
then what overflows ends
Yeah.
up residing now in this 8 DVD set.
I have all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is very special. Yeah.
Well, friends, we want to make sure you know how you can get your copy of The Dragon's Prophecy, along with, if you should choose to get the companion DVD box set right now, when you order The Dragon's Prophecy, Israel, the Dark Resurrection, and the End of Days. And it's available right now in the Dragon's Prophecy Master Collection. In this stunning new book, Jonathan Cahn will open up for the very first time ever end times prophecy to reveal the long hidden secret of the last days, the dark resurrection, the colors of the apocalypse, the day of the dragon, the Secret on the Mount, and much, much more. Also included in this incredible collection are Jonathan Cahn's all-time best-selling books, bound in beautiful hardback, The Oracle, The Jubilean Mysteries, that takes you on an epic journey through a mystery birthed in a Middle Eastern desert over 3,000 years ago that is right now determining the global events we're witnessing today. And The Paradigm, the ancient blueprint that holds the mystery of our times, that exposes the blueprint that can quite possibly foretell the outcomes of current events more accurately than any modern poll or expert, even including the outcomes of presidential elections. Sold separately, these 3 books hold a retail value of over $75 all by themselves. Yours now for your donation of only $39.99, which includes free shipping to all U.S. orders. But right now, you can upgrade your Dragon's Prophecy Master Collection to include the absolutely astonishing Dragon's Prophecy Uncensored 8 DVD album, featuring hours of additional totally uncensored raw materials and mysteries that are not included in the book. You'll not only hear additional end times revelations regarding what is yet to come upon the earth and how to be ready as the body of Christ, but you'll experience them with images, videos, and materials not found anywhere else. Jonathan discusses where America is in end times prophecy, what the next big prophetic event likely is, the arrival of the dragon, what Ezekiel 38 and 39 truly discloses, and much, much more. This 8 DVD set is exclusive and not available online anywhere, in any bookstore, or even on Amazon. This special upgrade includes all of the items from the Dragon's Prophecy Master Collection and the exclusive uncensored 8 DVD album, which altogether holds a retail value of $200. Yours now for your donation of only $79.99, which again includes free shipping to all U.S. orders. So don't delay. You can scan the QR code on your screen using the camera app on your phone for instant access to the Dragon's Prophecy Master Collection or the Master Collection with upgraded uncensored 8 DVD album. You can also visit us at SkyWatchTVstore.com or call 1-844-750-4985 and ask for the Dragon's Prophecy Master Collection or upgraded collection now. Friends, I'm telling you, it's not a special opportunity that you want to miss out on. So go to SkyWatchTVstore.com right now and get your copies of The Dragon's Prophecy, Israel, the Dark Resurrection, and the End of Days with companion DVD box set. Jonathan, getting back into the content of the book, before the break, we were talking about the Philistines. How were they resurrected?
Yeah, well, the Philistines first appear in ancient times right after the name of Israel appears. The name of Israel appears on the Pharaoh's records. Right after that comes the first appearance of the word Philistine in the Pharaoh's records. So they appear together. When Israel came back into the world, the Philistine or the Palestinian people come back. Israel first was resurrected, 1897 is the first Zionist Congress, the beginning of this. 1898, as far as we know, the first time of the word Philistine comes into Arabic, spreading. So as Israel is resurrecting, so is the identity of the Philistine is coming on. Remember, when people speak to each other in Arabic and they say Palestinian, they don't say Palestinian. You know what the word for Palestinian is in Arabic? It's Philistine, literally. So in 1948, when Israel comes back, It's a watermark in the resurrection of these people. And then in 1967, when they have Jerusalem, another watermark. And so it's almost like this identity starts taking over this people. And they become like the Philistines. It's not about them. They don't know what they're doing. They're being used. And when you look at how this issue has been used in the world, you see the enemy's hand in this. But it's actually a people named after their ancient enemies.
Are you guys keeping up with Jonathan Cahn tonight? We're trekking right along with you, Jonathan. What is the mystery of Pilashet?
Okay, where were the Philistines? The Philistines were on the coast of Israel. They were on the coast bordering Egypt. Well, today it was called Philistia, and that's a place where they dwelled and the Israelites kind of try to avoid. Well, what is it today? It is called the Gaza Strip. So not only it's a people, it's the same place. And the thing is that, Gaza existed, but you know what? The Gaza Strip did not. You know when the Gaza Strip really came back into the world? 1948. So as Israel comes back and the Jewish people, God gathers the Jewish people to their ancient homeland, the people called Philistine are gathered back to the homeland of the Philistines. And they're not trying to do it. It just happened. The population explodes in what we call the Gaza Strip. And the Gaza Strip was a place where destruction would come to Israel. So this is all leading up to what we have witnessed. But yeah.
And there's even another connection, which I find fascinating. At the end of Joshua chapter 11, which is the summary of his war to destroy, to take the land of Canaan, it summarizes and makes clear that his military target were the Anakim. Yeah. That he destroyed the Anakim from the hill country of Judah and from all the hill country of Israel. Only in Gaza, in Gath, and in Ashdod did some remain, which of course is where the Philistine giants David had to deal with 400 years later. I didn't realize until fairly recently that the area that the world calls the West Bank, Judea and Samaria, is the hill country of Judah and the hill country of Israel. Yeah. They want Israel to give back the land that Joshua conquered 3,400 years ago to the Philistines.
Yeah.
I marvel at your ability to see all of this. Three-dimensionally and to extract mystery after mystery and do it basically every year. Your intellect, Jonathan, is really marvelous. You have a gifting.
Grace.
It's an anointing.
God's grace. Thank
you. You write that behind October 7 lies an ancient mystery.
Yeah.
What is that?
The Philistines were used to attack Israel and to launch raids into Israel from the Gaza Strip. Okay, so they would raid Israeli villages and Israeli towns. They would do exactly what happened on that day. And in fact, the Bible identifies, one of it, there's something in Joshua and something later, identifies where the Philistines would raid. Okay, they would raid the villages and towns that were right inland of the Gaza Strip. That's exactly what happened on October 7th. Actually gives two words. One word is Shephelah, the lowlands, and the other is Negev, the south. Where there's a place where the Negev and the Shephelah converge, a little area would converge. And you know what? That little area, that's where they had the music festival.
Yep.
That's where they had the kibbutzes. It was the exact spot that the Bible says. And what happened on that day is exactly what the Bible says happened when the Philistines invaded in ancient times. They took captives back to the Gaza Strip. They committed atrocities. Everything that happened is a replaying of a mystery. So the whole world's watching this and not realizing this is actually a replaying. And orchestrating behind it is the enemy.
Jonathan, what is the Palestine mystery and stratagem?
Yeah, it really reveals the strategy of the enemy, and that when you look at it, what happens is you had the promised land. God gave this land to Israel. We know that, but then the enemy renames the land. He removes its link to God, its link to the Jewish people, and renames the promised land Palestina by the Romans. And the idea is erase the connection, erase the identity, give it a new identity, which is actually pagan, and it's actually after the enemies of Israel. And that's how people have known that land for thousands of years. And so when you see this is how the enemy does everything. He takes what God created, he removes the connection to God, he removes the identity that God gave it, and he gives it a false identity, and ultimately to destroy it. Example, what is he doing right now with gender? God creates man and woman. Yeah. So the enemy, Palestine is, he takes away the identity of man from man, women from woman, marriage. He divorces marriage from marriage, what it is, life from life. So what he did to Israel is exactly what he seeks to do, and personally with every life, individually. He tries to take each of us away from the purpose God called us to be, and he gives us a false identity, a false purpose, and that is our false, until God restores us or God saves us. So you really, in this one thing, you see everything.
I want to risk putting you on the spot, but if you don't like the question, you don't have to answer.
Can I walk out?
You can walk out. Okay. But you said something earlier that I kind of want to follow up on, and that was, and I'll paraphrase, but in Joe Horn words, I will recap. God's been patient with the United States, maybe because we've not turned our back on Israel. Mm-hmm. If that lever goes, what incentive does he have not to bring judgment? And what I would almost kind of poke around the peripheral of is ask you if you have a spiritual sense. This is the part where I'm putting you on the spot. This was not prearranged, so if you don't like the question, you don't have to answer. But do you have an instinct or an intuition about whether you think the church will continue to forget that very important alliance with Israel? I've talked with Christian friends this year that are confused about the identity of the Jews. And now they're asserting that the Jewish people aren't even the Jewish people that they claim to be.
Yeah. It's like the Temple Mount isn't the Temple Mount.
Exactly.
It's the same thing.
And that to me, we've been covering Bible prophecy for years. I think that to me might be one of the biggest singular elephant in the room issues. If the church forgets its alliance with Israel, its support of Israel, if we get confused about, I don't think this is going to be another usual political season or another series of years where we can play this thing out. It may be really dire really fast. Do you agree with that?
Yeah. On one hand, we're watching the world, and we'll get into it, but the world, in all this, we saw the greatest eruption of anti-Semitism, the most widespread eruption in history around the entire world, in America as well. And that goes right with Bible prophecy, because we know the world is going to turn against it. Well, the church is going to have to make a stand. As with apostasy, as with everything else, but with Israel, because Israel's always going to kind of be this marker of where you are and where you stand. I believe that there'll be a division, in that there will be those that go the other way in apostasy as well, but also go with the world against Israel. And then there will be those who join all the more to Israel, because that's another thing that's happening in the world, which has never been since the first century, that born-again, on-fire believers are so joined to Israel more than the church has been since the beginning. So you got two things happening parallel. You have a false and you have a true. You have an apostate and you have a more radical, which is what we are to be. So I see both.
So we need to be praying that part of it that he talks about being more galvanized in its support of Israel is the prevailing side, and especially from the body of Christ. I think when you start playing around with Israel, you're playing with literal fire.
Yeah.
You are. It's interesting that you said that. This has held true for 4,000 years. From the pharaohs to the American presidents, every single nation that curses Israel is in the end cursed. Every single nation that blesses is blessed. You can't break that rule. It's like gravity.
That's it.
Right.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Jonathan Cahn. Unfortunately, we're all out of time this week, but join us next week when Jonathan Cahn returns to talk about a coming invasion of Israel that threatens to rattle the very world we live in to its core. For everybody here in studio, for everybody here on panel, Jonathan, thank you again for joining us this week. I'm Joe Artis Horn. Keep your eyes on the prize, which is Jesus Christ. We'll be back.